The ride of your life is Daddyhood.
For those of you who cannot wait and love Daddyhood, please head over to our Patreon. We have exclusive access to episodes, we have early access to episodes, and we have behind the scenes footage. Head on over there, sign up, be part of the exclusive Daddyhood group, and join us over there. Welcome back to Daddyhood. Today I have a very, very special guest joining us again, my partner in crime. Hi, Jordan.
Hi, babe.
Today's episode is a special one. Do you know why?
No.
We get to share with everybody that we're pregnant.
Yeah.
And we get to walk them through it.
That's exciting.
I know.
Yeah.
We're pregnant. So I think we should first just say, like, it was really important for us to have our moment and keep it sort of private and protect it. Mm-hmm. And we were very intentional in that.
Yeah.
And you're very good at forcing me to do things like that. Because normally I just like to share things with people as it happens.
Well, that's how most people are when they're having a baby. That, you know, the beginning is a little more nerve-wracking, and then the doctor says, I'm feeling good about this. And so you start to tell your friends and family, and then,
yeah,
you know.
And then now the entire world.
Yeah. Which most people don't do, but.
Yeah. Well, let's get into it because, I mean, obviously the transfer was a big day for us. Mm-hmm. So where do you want to start?
I guess let's start there.
Okay.
Because we've already talked about our egg donor and our surrogate. So yeah, I mean, it's an interesting experience with surrogacy and IVF because something really major is happening in your life, but it's not happening to your body or your
right.
partner's body. So it's a dip, you know, you're clued in more on text and WhatsApp and phone calls, but the day-to-day is harder to stay involved with.
Yeah, I remember we were given the option to actually attend the transfer, mm-hmm. which would be in the same room while they were doing what is a procedure on our surrogate. Yeah. And we opted not to.
Yeah, because we were told, I think we are so lucky to have had so many friends go through this, and we heard, you know, it's not painful necessarily, but it's kind of uncomfortable. Yeah. And so we met with her and her family before she went in, and, you know, wanted to like give our love and say hello and give a hug and sort of show up, but not necessarily invade her privacy.
Yeah. And we didn't, because then the other option too was to FaceTime in. Like, well, we wouldn't be in the room, but we would FaceTime to watch everything go. And we opted not to do that either.
Yeah.
Can you tell people what we did opt to do?
You mean just like, I feel like we were just like sending a lot of good vibes out. And like,
oh, is that what it was?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we connected and we had sex during the transfer.
Oh, you want to talk about that?
Oh, we're not talking about that?
Well,
sorry, Jana.
You're just more of an open book.
We were, yeah. I don't know. I thought that was cool though. I thought it was a way for us to feel connected and bonded in the moment. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, I'll move on because I can tell it's making you uncomfortable. When you go through a TV show like I went through in front of everybody, there's really not a lot that's off limits. So
yeah,
tested your boundaries and found them.
Sure.
So we go through that, and we were sort of given a heads up that like, hey, it's going to take 10 days before we will know.
Right.
But there were people who told us, oh, you can just send your surrogate pregnancy tests and know in 3 days.
Right.
But we're, once again, advised not to do that.
Well, I think you're thinking about this all the time. And so for every woman, it's different. And the pregnancy tests where you like pee on a stick, they're just, the only thing they test for is progesterone, the hormone that spikes when a pregnancy happens. And, you know, it could happen after a few days. It could take longer. And so if she had 4 or 5 days in a row of negative pregnancy tests, I think we would have been really stressed out. Yeah. And because they just set the expectation of in 10 days, we'll tell you, we were just like, okay, we'll wait 10 days.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we waited 10 days because that day fell on my birthday.
Yeah.
And it was just really special. I don't know how everything synced up to work out how it did. And well, we were in the car and
I was driving 80 miles per hour on the freeway.
I think what was really cool is our doctor let our surrogate tell us.
That was so cool.
Which makes it even more personable and just a way for us to bond as a unit.
Yeah, I think it's probably something that people learned over the years in IVF is like to really pay a lot of attention. Like the surrogate is doing hard work and the heavy lifting here. And so I always look at doctors who are respecting her.
Right.
And I agree. It was very cool. And it was such a memorable thing that she got to share it with us.
I know. And you bursted into tears. I started tearing up. And it was just such a loving, fun moment and a memory.
Yeah.
The best birthday of my life.
Yeah. It was amazing.
I know. And then we slowly got to tell people.
Yeah, slowly because, it's like any pregnancy, right? The standard of when people share that they're pregnant is 12 weeks.
Yeah.
And, kind of first trimester ending. And we had, because we were doing IVF, we had more scans than is normal.
And we also sort of messed up though. We sort of made a mistake that I now know going into the next one that we shouldn't make. And that was, we told a few people that we were doing the transfer, which then those people knew that within 10 days we would have the results.
Yeah.
And we weren't quite ready yet to like tell them that we were pregnant.
Right.
And it was sort of hard to put the genie back in the bottle.
Yeah, I think everyone's different on this. It felt kind of nice to have, when you have big news in your life, like sometimes it's nice to just have it with the person you love the most and then to share it when you want to. And but I think we've both been very chill about understanding what we would change for the next time. But we also had the benefit of doing a lot right that we learned from our friends.
Yeah.
Who had given us advice.
Totally. Well, do you want to tell everybody what we're having?
Yeah. Do you want to say it at the same time?
Yeah. 1, 2, 3. A human
boy.
Oh, a baby boy, a baby human boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we have all male embryos. I don't know if we disclosed that ever.
Yeah, but we have 2 girl dogs, so I think it's time for a boy.
We're outnumbered. Well, we're even in this house, but still at times feel outnumbered.
Yeah.
We need some more boy energy in here.
It's gonna be so fun.
I just think it's so interesting after going through the transfer to even examine the weeks that go by, because statistically speaking, your odds keep going up. So every clear scan, every week that goes by, the doctor sort of tells you like, it's this % now. And like, that's sort of how we've been operating this entire time, whether it was like egg retrieval to sperm, all these things have been calculations and percentages. And that includes the transfer.
Yeah.
Which is nerve-wracking and terrifying. And also why we sort of wanted to be slow with telling people.
Yeah, but we've also been zen. I think we're like, whatever's supposed to happen is going to happen. And you can do everything to prepare and have the best surrogate. It's just like life is miraculous.
Yeah.
And, you kind of understand that when pregnancy happens. Like, I'm 41. I had never really thought about like, what is a 3-week-old embryo like? What about an 8-week-old? And like, what the difference? And we have like 10 apps on our phone now.
Hold on, correction.
I have 10 apps.
Jordan has 10 apps on it. It's the cutest thing. He will pull it up, and every app is like a little bit different with the interface, but also like has this one has like your baby is the size of and it's like
pomegranate
fruits, and then the next one is like your baby is discovering X, Y, and Z today, or your baby is getting color to their skin, and it's really interesting.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you just think about it as like, or at least how I have, probably because I'm also a guy, you think like being pregnant or not pregnant is like you're either pregnant or you're not pregnant. But like, it's so different to be 4 weeks pregnant than 10 or 20. And I think talking every day to our surrogate, it's so cool that she shares stuff with us about how she's feeling and how her body's changing. And, she's starting to feel something. And it's really cool. It makes us feel part of it.
Yeah, I think that the apps are helpful as far as like reminding us, because like physically there is no change with us other than like being on a text thread with our surrogate and hearing that she felt a flutter or she's feeling not morning sickness. I know like for us, our surrogate had really bad morning sickness during the first trimester, and weirdly I was like, good, it's working, but also like sorry that our baby's a little high maintenance right now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else. Like, What else? One we should share, and then
Well, the scan. I mean, obviously the biggest milestone is the first time you hear the heartbeat.
that
which
was
we
very
got
special.
to do a little early because, again, like with fertility, like the fertility doctor who did the transfer of the embryo is kind of taking care of the surrogate up until it's a viable pregnancy, until they're like, okay, everything looks really good. Now you go to your OBGYN who you would normally go to, who's going to deliver the baby. And like, you know, it's this beautiful moment. They're like, we're so happy. You know, you've been with the fertility clinic for a while now and they've helped you along the way. So they're doing more scans early on than a pregnant woman would be if she was not pregnant from IVF. And so that was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first time hearing the heartbeat is amazing. And it's so fast. It's like triple the rate of a...
It was nerve-wracking when I first heard it because like, oh, is it supposed to be beating that fast? And then you realize it beats that fast all the way. Yeah, because it's growing.
Yeah.
I think one thing that we've been pretty intentional as far as like being private-ish about certain things, but I think one thing we've been really private about is protecting our surrogate and how incredible she is. But knowing too, like she didn't sign up for any of the Daddyhood stuff, and I think that, you know, while she's been so great to work with and have as part of like our extended family in this, it's just important to protect her family and her privacy too.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because and that is something I hope people understand too, is like these women are not just surrogates who are like this is what they're doing. Like they have families and partners and, you know, oftentimes children of their own, and they're still doing this in addition to all the normal responsibilities they have in their life. So it's amazing. And in our particular case, you know, our surrogate's husband is really remarkable and supportive and sweet and present, and we've also spent a lot of time with him.
She has the cutest baby too.
Yeah.
So it's just been
really awesome.
It's been fun, and you know, having them over for dinner and meeting up before and after doctor's appointments for coffees, and it really makes us feel a part of this, because that was one thing going into this that I didn't know how I was going to feel, as if like I would feel a part of the process because it physically isn't happening to you, and it's like, are you going to struggle with the connecting or struggle feeling the feelings of feeling pregnant and being pregnant as a family? Really helped bring that feeling for at least me. Yeah.
And people have been so sweet with advice. All of our friends, and even people that we don't know that well, and like straight, gay, you know, people who have had kids have said some really profound things. You know, like I'm thinking of someone we ran into recently who I've known for a long time, who's so close with his kids who are now like college age, and said, you know, don't panic if you don't feel what you think you're supposed to feel right away with your baby. It took me a while, and I thought something was wrong with me, and I've since figured out that it's kind of normal. And we had another friend who, you know, 2 or 3 year old, and the mom said the same thing, where, you know, I loved my child right away, but didn't feel the way I thought I was supposed to feel, and had guilt about that. So I just think it's cool that people in general, I think this is probably a good thing about social media, where you can see, I feel like people are just much more open now and understand that the experience they're having is not unique.
Yeah.
And there are millions of other people who've had the same. You know, we're much better about talking about like postpartum depression, which I have so many friends who have dealt with that, and many friends who were undiagnosed and thought something was really wrong with them and felt so much guilt. And it's like, no, it's a medical condition.
Yeah. Well, I think we just put so much pressure on expectations, and like if we're expecting it to be one way and it's not, we sort of chalk it up as a loss and a failure. Yeah. When in reality, it's just a time to like learn and pivot.
Yeah, and your show has been really great, and so many of the things I hear about Daddyhood are, you know, you've had people on who have to talk about the highest highs and lowest lows and pregnancy loss, and we, you know, most couples who have kids will experience that at some point, and you know, I think it's really great that you and your guests have been talking about that, and I know that's meant a lot to people. You've talked about sperm so much.
I've sort of become like
a
slight sperm expert. I'm fascinated by it.
Yeah, I mean, you went on Rory's podcast recently, and you know,
really just laid it all out there
about, you know, people learning about their sperm.
You and I we somewhat live, you know, we operate in similar worlds, but we operate a little differently. For example, you just got nervous when I said that. I'm not going to say it because I love you and I respect your boundaries.
Okay. I don't know what you're going to say, but thank you.
I think it's important to tell people why we decided to announce with Men's Health.
Oh, yeah.
That's just such a fun, I mean, it was such a fun partnership and also such a fun piece for me to contribute to. But also, I think with what I'm doing here with Daddyhood, like it was the perfect fit.
Yeah, totally agree. Everything in our lives that we do as humans comes down to our health, our mental health and our physical health. And, you know, there are all these wild statistics about how testosterone has the level of the average 18-year-old American man is now what it was for like a 60 or 70-year-old man in like the 50s. So something's going on that's making us, you know, we talk about this all the time. There's microplastics and chemicals and the stuff they spray on our food. And I think that people are doing a good job in other fields talking about this, but up until your show, I hadn't heard it much, especially from men, about how it could affect fertility and the ability to have children.
Yeah, I think that was like the one thing when I looked at Men's Health's audience, and I've worked with them in the past before and shared tips, and they have a great audience. And I just felt like there's an opportunity to talk to a lot more straight men about this who might not always feel seen, heard, or understood, and just signal to them that like, you're not alone, you're okay, and you're gonna get through this. And also same to the women out there who do read Men's Health too, of like, if you've been struggling with fertility, it's okay to ask your partner and the men in your life to get tested as well and have their numbers check.
Well, and it's like anything. We men love a competition and, you know, to gamify everything. And so the idea that there's sperm rehab available and you can take male prenatals and make lifestyle changes and then you can like try again and test again. And it's like,
you kicked my ass in the sperm department.
Well, my point is just that having data is the first step to fix, you know, you can't fix what you can't measure.
Yeah.
So
love that.
Yeah, I think it's you, by the way, like your body could make healthy sperm and you were just doing a few things that, like your body had the ability to function perfectly normally in that way.
When I made adjustments.
It just wasn't because you were doing a few things that were super easy to fix.
Yeah.
And millions of other people could emulate.
Yeah, totally. I'm trying to think what else we can tease. I mean, we've had so many exciting announcements already here.
Well, should we talk a little bit about the intensity around people's feelings around having help with kids and babies?
That's a very interesting topic that I think honestly I want to do a full episode with you on, but just to tease it a little bit, what's been somewhat surprising is how strongly opinionated some folks are at the idea of bringing in support. I don't even want to call it help. Like you're bringing in a support system to, just like I have a therapist and I have a nutritionist and or like a fitness coach, like people to help in different areas of my life. Bringing in a night nurse was something we discussed early on. And when we would bring it up to people, it would either be that's the best thing, that was the best thing for us, and or it was, how dare you have somebody else raise your kid?
Yeah.
I just thought it was so interesting how polarizing it was.
Well, I think that people, whenever they're saying something like that, they're revealing something about themselves, right? And it's typically either a regret that they had as a kid about how they were raised or a regret that maybe they had about how they parented. And I always just find it to be really a revealing thing about that person making the comment. But also the world changes, you know, like my mom, we often talk about, I have two brothers, and when she signed with her OBGYN who delivered all three of us, she had to sign something saying that she wouldn't have an epidural. And so she had all three of us and could have been so much more I can't imagine how painful that was. And, you know, and now it's like, why? And, you know, I don't think there's any doctor that would judge a woman or make her feel weird for doing that. And in the same way, I think it's just our society has changed to what, you know, straight or gay, like even if we were a straight couple, like we both work full time. Yeah. And so we'll take some time off when we have the baby, but most couples that work full time need some help. And, but yeah, it's like, I understand why people have feelings about it, but it's, you know, someone in your home and with your child. And, it's something that we've thought a lot about. And I think that's all you have to do is like, just be really deliberate about what works for your family.
Well, and that's, I think one thing too, once you explain to people too, like, it's not just like we're hiring somebody to come raise our baby. Like we have a plan put together. We have the intended uses and how we want them to plug in and operate, just like anything else in, you know, our lives. There's like a plan and an intention behind it.
I think it's a really normal thing too for every couple to sort of, you drop into other people's lives and you go to their house or you see them out and it's like, oh, I really like this about what their setup was, or like, I wouldn't do it that way.
Right.
And that's fine. And I think we were both just really chill about like, we'll do what works for us and like you do what works for you.
I think one thing that I am excited about is the due date. What a perfect time of year. Not that like, I mean, I guess in IVF, we could really sort of tee it up how we want, but like things happen.
Yeah, but we didn't at all.
We didn't really mean to. It just sort of everything fell into place and we sort of said
I do
go.
think it's important to say at this point, like if you are listening and you are undergoing IVF, plan for like much more time than you think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
takes longer than you think.
Between the delays, and we did a mock cycle, which I highly, highly recommend. And for those of you who do not know what a mock cycle is, it is for your surrogate and or for you when you're preparing for IVF. The doctor essentially runs hormones and gives you all of the medication that you're supposed to take pre-transfer. Mm-hmm. And then the day that they're supposed to do the transfer, he actually comes in and tests your body to make sure that it's at its optimal level to receive the embryo. Oh, we have a name, but we're not going to talk about that.
Mm-hmm. Well, we have a list of names.
We have a list of names.
We have a leading contender, and then we have several others that we both like, and we'll see what his vibe is. Yeah.
What do you think his vibe's going to be?
I don't know. I have a feeling that he's going to come a little early.
Yeah.
And a little early is okay, but
I think he's going to have good hair and abs, obviously.
I think he's going to be really chill.
I hope so.
Yeah.
That would be lovely.
I think it's important to say that since you've now said the abs things in 2 episodes, like that you're kidding.
I am kidding.
Yeah. I want our baby to be
the fattest,
really
roly-poly, and loving.
I know.
And I really can't wait to see how the dogs do with.
I know. Speaking of, they're so loud during this episode.
I know, but they're the best.
They're the best.
Well, from here on out, it's just you and I talking through more updates with the pregnancy, when the birth happens.
Yep.
And then we're finally into daddyhood.
I do hope if I come back, you will have a dad joke.
I can do one right now.
Okay.
Why are frogs scared to get parking tickets?
Does it have ribbit in the answer?
No, they're just a little afraid of getting towed.
Oh.
Get it?
Yeah, I get it. It's pretty bad.
Such a good one. I love you. Thank you for joining me. I hope I did not embarrass you.
No, I'm proud of you.
Until next time.
I think it's a great show, and so many people have said that it's helped them already. So
thanks.
Keep going.
Well, you're the best for joining me.
I love you.
Can I get a kiss?
The ride of your life is Daddyhood.